Today's podcast is brought to you by Inverted Gear. For all your jiu-jitsu needs, go to invertedgear.com. Save 15% off if you type in the coupon code ShowTheArt15 with no spaces. Our next sponsor is Chimera Coffee. That's Chimera Coffee with a K. They are a coffee brand that infused their coffee with nootropics. If you don't know what nootropics are, Google it. They can do a much better job at explaining it than I can. Go to chimeracoffee.com, type in the coupon code ShowTheArt for a nice little discount. Enjoy.
Hey guys.
Hello.
What's up?
Dr. Mattie. What's happening?
What's going on? It's me, Marcos, and our yoga instructor, Chris.
Yoga Chris is Show the Art's resident yoga instructor. What's
Oh,
up,
nice.
Dr. Mattie?
Do we got video going on here?
No, just audio.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because we're all naked and we don't want to expose.
I'm only wearing socks.
You don't want to expose yourself?
Yes, exactly. What's going on, man? It's been a long time. I haven't seen you in quite a few years.
Too long. You should take me up on my offer to come visit me out in Colorado.
I was in Colorado last year.
Yeah.
And he failed to connect with you.
Yeah.
Which part of Colorado are you in?
I live in Boulder.
Oh, I was there last year too. It's an awesome place.
Me too.
Oh man, it's amazing.
Yeah. I think it's it was really hard to leave Marcelo's academy, but moving out to Boulder was probably one of the best choices I've ever made in my life. So
And how's the weather in Boulder right now?
It's blue skies. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's about 60 degrees.
Nice.
It's just absolutely beautiful. And, we get a lot of really good weather. We get a lot of sunshine out here, man.
Awesome, man.
Are there any lizards lamping on your porch right now?
No, man, this isn't Arizona.
Yeah.
No lizards. There's a couple mountain lions that like to roam through my neighborhood, but
Do you pet them?
no. I try to adjust them, but they're
Boulder's such a cool place because you can be downtown in the city in 1 minute, and then literally 10 minutes later, you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
Just away from everything.
The end of my street is the trail up into Sanitas Mountain.
That's exactly where I was.
1 mile south of me is Pearl Street. So
Ooh,
it's like I'm in like the sweet spot.
Pearl Street is pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good time.
We went hiking in Boulder, and then we on our way back we stopped at Pearl Street and ate at some like Mexican restaurant, and then there was a coffee place. It was a really good coffee place. I forgot what it was called.
You ate at the Rio?
Maybe. I don't remember what it was called. Probably. Yeah. If it's really good, then that's where we ate.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good. Yeah.
And then there's a coffee place like right down the block, and there was like street performers or something like that. Is that the same?
That's it.
My man.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like this place was created with quality of life in mind.
Yeah. And you're by Red Rocks, right?
Red Rocks is in Morrison, which is by Golden.
Uh-huh.
So it's like probably, I don't know, maybe like 40 minutes from here.
Okay. Yeah, we visited Red Rocks, and once we got there, a concert was like about to start, so we couldn't like really visit it, but it was cool. It was cool, like, being there and looking at it for sure.
Man, it's the best place to see a concert. And I actually had a client in New York City who was a world-class violinist, and he was on tour with this band. So when they came through, he contacted me because they all were suffering pretty bad from altitude sickness.
Okay.
So he asked me if I would come there and adjust them, as a chiropractor. So I got backstage passes and backstage and got to adjust, got to do chiropractic backstage at Red Rocks, which is like...
For people who don't know what the Red Rocks like concert area is, can you explain it to them? Especially being in there, because I didn't actually go in the concert area.
It's like, I'll do my best. So it's like this amphitheater that's been carved out of this rock, which happens to be red.
Yeah.
And...
outdoors.
Outdoors.
Crazy.
So you're outdoors, you're under the sky. It's up on an angle, so the stage is down diagonally below you. Like every seat in the house is the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Acoustics are just over the top. And man, nature has a very, there's a majestic quality about it. We've kind of separated ourselves from it. So when you go back into it, you start to feel this, like, this connection, I think, to something that that is much closer representative of you. I think it can be really easy to lose ourselves in a city,
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And so someone who lived in New York for so long and then moved to kind of the opposite type of environment in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado, being a chiropractor, what were the biggest differences in your industry that you came across? I'm sure there's different types of clients you deal with now, right?
I would say that here in Colorado, people are more attuned and interested in what chiropractic really has to offer.
Okay.
And in the city, I was extremely fortunate. I had an incredible clientele, that were willing to be educated upon what I am really doing as a chiropractor, and then interested in bringing their families in. But for the most part, there was more people in New York who were very much interested in, a quick fix.
Okay.
And man, and I could explain this in a language you guys will understand. There's no overnight black belts. Like, if you want to really become proficient in jiu-jitsu, first of all, you have to have the passion for it. But man, you got to put your time in. Like, you have to be committed, dedicated, disciplined. But all of that only comes if you have a sincere interest in it. So if someone has a sincere interest in their health and well-being, but also their performance and potential as a human being, then it's going to be easy for them to get under a chiropractic care with me and commit to the care, because they just have a natural interest in just maxing out their life, like living their life to its fullest capability.
Mm-hmm. Now, chiropractic work is like, some people don't believe in it, some people believe in it. And what it sounds like you're saying is it's something you kind of should invest in for the long haul. Like you're saying, jiu-jitsu, like a sport. If you want to get good at it, you need multiple sessions. You need to commit to something like that. How can you convince people that don't believe in chiropractic work? How can you convince them that it does work? Obviously, you can cite evidence, right?
Well, not only former clients. I mean, we have a ton of science now. I have to be honest, though. I'm not really interested in convincing anybody if chiropractic is for real or not, because what I've discovered, especially and sadly in the scientific community, is that people's cups are already full. They already have very strong opinions and strong feelings about what they believe, and whether they realize it or not, they're not interested in learning the truth of certain things. Because I think underneath it all, if they did open themselves up to a different truth, they would have to let go of beliefs and paradigms, and that would shake their understanding of themselves and life. That would shake it down to their very core. So I don't know how many people are really interested in, really letting go of what is not true and opening up to what is true.
Uh-huh.
But as far as chiropractic goes, chiropractic is probably one of the most misunderstood healing arts on the planet. Chiropractic, the best way I could start to explain chiropractic would be to talk about, the relationship between structure and function, and why most people show up in a chiropractic office. And, since this is a jiu-jitsu podcast, it's like Marcos, I've adjusted you. Abe, I've adjusted you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, if you don't mind, Marcos, could I use you as an example?
Sure.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so in the beginning, you came to me because you were experiencing some neck pain and upper thoracic pain, and that was interfering with, your recovery from training and your performance in jiu-jitsu. And fair enough, you wanted to be relieved of this discomfort, of this pain.
Yes, I did.
And that's totally fair. But I think there's a big misconception about what pain is, and pain and inflammation are very necessary parts of the healing process.
Okay.
And pain is a messenger of healing. I mean, if you broke your leg and you try to walk on that leg, you're going to feel pain. And there's also going to be inflammation to stabilize the break. I'm using an extreme example to explain certain phenomena that take place in healing processes.
But pain is basically saying this area needs to heal. Please lay off it, stay off it, so it can do its job. That's what you're saying.
Yes, very, very much so, very much so. And if you didn't feel that pain and you kept pushing into that injury, then it wouldn't heal properly. So from a chiropractic perspective, I begin to tell my clients, look, I'm going to help you any way I can, but I need to explain what pain is. And pain is actually, it's important, and I know you want to be relieved of it, but pain is actually secondary to the real issue. From a chiropractic standpoint, the real issue is that tension has been stored in your neurology, and it's distorting the overall structure. And because structure and function have a relationship, because the structure is distorted, your body is not going to be able to function to its fullest capability. Now, from an athlete's perspective, that means you're not going to perform in competition to the best of your ability. So what I do as a chiropractor is I help unwind that tension in your neurology, and I help adjust the structure back into its more appropriate alignment, because structure and function have a relationship. So as the tension unwinds and the structure comes back into a more appropriate alignment, the overall function globally of the body is going to be better. So yes, you're going to be healthier. You're going to have a greater sense of well-being. But as an athlete, you're going to recover from your training better, and you're going to perform better in competition.
Okay.
And I'm just scratching the surface here of what chiropractic has to offer. But I want to be crystal clear that chiropractic is about adjusting the spine, adjusting the neurology. What's weighing it down ultimately are patterns of tension that begin to exist throughout the brain and spinal cord and the connective tissue called the meninges that surround the brain and spinal cord. And that's what's pulling the structure out of alignment from the inside out.
Are there any structural misalignments that you commonly see with jiu-jitsu practitioners?
Yeah, of course. There's these deep set patterns. I mean, but listen, this is the thing. We need to understand what tension is, right? So tension is information from our life experiences that we are not completely adapting to. So whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, it doesn't matter. If physical, mental, and emotional experiences that we don't adapt to are information that gets stored in the neurology as tension. So for let's say for like an athlete or a jiu-jitsu practitioner specifically, it's a lot of physical information that's getting stored as tension in the systems because we push ourselves profoundly in a physical way. But now, in a competitive level, there's also the mental and emotional information, all the adrenaline dumps that pretty much every competitor goes through because of competition. Mm-hmm. And what that really is, what an adrenaline dump really is, and what happens to the neurology when this chemical and emotional information gets stored as tension. I mean, I think all of us that ever competed understand what happens when our emotions get the best of us and we fight with emotion. I mean, you're like exhausted 45 seconds in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also your game falls apart. But also, we've also had the opportunity to experience what happens when we fight with clarity. And like, it's almost like an out-of-body experience where you're like, man, you feel like you could almost do anything. Sure. Unfortunately for me, those performances have been few and far between.
Now, let me ask you a question. How can you put what you're saying in more layman terms for people like Marcos who just don't understand a word you're saying?
Yeah, or Marcos.
Yeah.
Very simple. You do something that knocks your structure of your spine out of alignment.
Okay.
And because structure and the function of your body have a relationship, you're not going to function to the best of your ability physically, mentally, and emotionally.
And then that's where you come in.
That's where I come in. I come in and I help find these patterns throughout your neurospinal system, and I help adjust them and unwind the tension and adjust the structure back to its most appropriate alignment.
And in simple terms, what would you do kind of specifically to unwind, to adjust? Because when you say adjust, that might mean something very, very specific for you, but for people who don't do that, what does that mean? Are you just putting pressure in one area and that's moving something in a different area?
Okay, this is a great question. Yeah. So look, I basically practice two types of chiropractic techniques. Mm-hmm. One is meningeal and one is structural. One unwinds the tension and one helps to bring the bony structure back into a more appropriate alignment. The meningeal, the unwinding technique, is a very gentle technique that is applied from the base of the spine through the spine and into the skull by contacting specific areas very gently along that pattern of tension and misalignment throughout the neurospinal system. The structural work is actually putting an adjustive thrust into certain areas of the spine that have come out of their most appropriate alignment. Okay. I still do this very specifically and very gently. I don't force anything back into place. I adjust along the lines of what the body is asking for. Is that why you're saying it needs to be a continuous thing to come to someone like you? That's why, like, you can't just fix it all in one session? For human beings, human beings have very deep neurological patterns, which are mostly emotional, are mostly mental and emotional. In order to break down these patterns, the majority of the time, the beginning of care is what I call an investive phase, because you're coming in many times in a short amount of time to break down these patterns. Okay. And then from there, we go into what I call a protective phase, because now we're protecting all the hard work that we did. And this is where we would get into regular care. Because when do the life experiences stop? When do the mental, emotional, and physical life experiences that we struggle with stop? They never do. They never do, yeah. So under chiropractic care, your neurology gets better at integrating and dissipating information, and it doesn't store it as tension as it once did after a certain period of getting adjusted of chiropractic care. But you're still going to have experiences that you're going to struggle to adapt to, especially emotional experiences. I mean, man, who hasn't had a broken heart? How long did that take to heal from? So can I ask you real quick, just you're saying that basically the adjustment of the spine will help align the nerves and everything that helps your body get over things, whether it's physical injury or mental injury, because everything's connected via nerves and arteries and veins and muscles and all that stuff. So when there's less tension in those areas, things are more in line, and basically the signals can get sent a little easier. Is that what you're saying? It can theoretically help you get over things better, more than just the physical. Yeah. So this is the thing. As the tension is unwound throughout the spine, specifically the spinal cord and the connective tissue that covers it, and the structure comes back into a more appropriate alignment, on a physical level, the brain is communicating better with the rest of the body. On a chemical level, the neurology is communicating better with your endocrine system, which makes all the chemicals and hormones that carry out all the functions and processes of the body. Yeah. But what people don't realize is that the subsystem for emotion in the body is the spinal cord. So if your spinal cord is weighed down with tension, then you are not going to experience life on an emotional level to your fullest capability.
I see. I understand.
Your emotional life is going to lean more towards the heavy, more towards the negative than it will positive. And there's a brilliant book written about this called The Molecules of Emotion by a neurochemist named Candace Pert, who is one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever come to know. Unfortunately, she passed away.
Oh, no.
In this book, Molecules of Emotion, I mean, she, without trying, helped explain a deeper truth of chiropractic. Chiropractic is about expressing life to its fullest potential, whether you're a human being or an animal. Lately, I've been getting more into adjusting dogs and specifically horses.
Huh, interesting.
And there's a movie that just came out about my mentor called Life Adjusted. And his name's Dr. Jay Kamerick, and he's been adjusting horses for 40 years. And man, let me tell you something. Animals can tell the story of chiropractic much better than I can, because when you see an animal get adjusted, it's very clear as to what chiropractic is and what it really has to offer.
Okay.
Especially with an animal that suffered some abuse or neglect, because animals are more willing to let go of their patterns much quicker and definitively than human beings. And
yeah.
I think it's because our psyches are different, but animals, for some reason, are much willing to let it go and let it go for good.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty profound thing to see. His movie has just been released to certain film festivals, but it'll come out for the whole public very soon. But you could watch the trailer for it. It's called Life Adjusted. And man, it is an extremely profound thing to see, because we have not done a good job as a profession communicating to the public what chiropractic is. I mean, only 4 to 8% of the public are utilizing chiropractic care this time. And that's just a shame, because what chiropractic has to offer is unbelievable in terms of health, well-being, and fully expressing life to its full potential. I mean, and, as an athlete, as an artist, man, you're always looking for these cutting-edge technologies to help you get to the next level. Not only as a competitor, but as a true artist.
Do all chiropractors have the same methodology? Because I always thought chiropractic was just, not as simple as I'm going to put it, but just you go in, they fix up your back, crack your back, and then, you come out looking like you could do dances and stuff like that, and you moonwalk out of the office all free and you're ready to go and you're spry. But I never heard that it could help your psyche and your emotions and your mood. So not every chiropractor thinks this way. Is it a methodology that's being studied now?
Well, look, I just want to be very clear. Chiropractic is not a treatment for anything. It's not a treatment for any physical, mental, and emotional woe, even though the consequences of chiropractic care can lead to greater physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
Okay.
What I am focusing on as a chiropractor is unwinding the tension and helping to adjust and correct the structural distortion, simply because structure and function have a relationship. And when I say function, I'm talking about your entire way of being. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and within the system chemically.
So that's where the misconception of chiropractic comes in. It's not a treatment. You're a helper. You're helping just as much as, if not more, as a personal trainer would be. A personal trainer is not going to just, boom, fix you up, you're in shape the next day. They're going to help you, give the tools to get you in better shape. It's ultimately up to you to help the chiropractor in their way. So if I go to you one time a week and you adjust me and you help me with all those things, and then I go out, just not taking care of my body, it won't make a difference.
It'll still make a difference for sure. without a doubt, it'll make a difference. But listen, the more it's like this. It's like, say you were teaching someone jujitsu and they were training under you, but every night they went home, they put down a 6-pack of Coors Light and stuffed their face with Cheetos. You know what I mean? They're not going to be living their fullest potential as an athlete, and they're not helping themselves be able to get better at jiu-jitsu. Now, if that same person went home and they cleaned up their diet and their attitude and all that, their chances are they're going to be a better student for you and they're going to be better at jiu-jitsu. But chiropractors, I mean, we have a really unbelievable education process. I mean, if you look at the curriculum for chiropractic school, I mean, it's a long haul, it's deep, it's profound. And on top of that, if you really, truly have a passion for chiropractic, you're going to be seeking out a parallel curriculum to make basically what I'm saying is that as I've trained myself as a chiropractor, like Marcelo trains himself as a jiu-jitsu artist and competitor. You know what I mean? Like as a chiropractor, I really feel that it's like you're an athlete. And if you want to be the best you can be, then you have to take it that seriously. You have to take it as a world champion competitor would take, the training as an athlete. And so, all chiropractors are not created equal, but we're doctors. We have a doctorate in chiropractic. And what we're understanding now is that chiropractic is more about functional neurology than it is really anything else, because we are working directly with the nervous system so that living being, whether they be a human being or an animal, can express their life and well-being to its fullest potential.
One of the reasons why we have our friend Chris on is because he's a 17-time world champion at yoga. He's been a yoga instructor for a while now, and I feel like he might get the same problems that you encounter with misconceptions and just people being ignorant to the subject. Do you believe in yoga? Do you think that it goes in line with chiropractic?
Well,
and there's a lot of styles of yoga out there.
What is the truest form of yoga? So what I'm asking is, why would someone seek yoga out in its purest form? And that would be, I mean, and I'm talking about its purest form. Like if you read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the purpose of yoga is
to do the awesomest back bend ever.
It is for well,
I'm kidding.
Maybe
I read the Kama Sutra.
No,
in the Yoga Sutras, there's only two passages that speak about postures at all.
Interesting.
But it's for like in the purest form. And Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong. Someone would seek out yoga for enlightenment.
Correct, to deal with pain and discomfort.
Suffering.
Yes.
Suffering. The relief of suffering. So, and then now look how yoga has been diluted and basically marketed and turned into like
a quick fix.
Yeah.
It's turned into a completely different thing.
Yeah, what's more popular than yoga nowadays are yoga pants. Like that's where it's come to.
I love yoga pants. I love yoga pants.
No one dislikes yoga pants.
I dislike you in yoga pants. That's what I dislike,
never
Chris.
mind.
I like yoga pants.
I have a really good friend named Charles Sakalis who he taught me the series 1 of the Ashtanga yoga practice because he traveled with Patabi Joyce when he was alive. And I've also gone to several Vipassana meditation retreats as taught by S.N. Gwenka. And in all those circles of yoga and Vipassana meditation, I mean, dude, there's no messing around, man. Like you're there for a reason. You're there to go deep within yourself and allow the negativities and the falsehood which has been adopted to come up, to be observed, and to be eventually let go. And man, let me tell you, that's not like a pleasurable process.
Oh no, not at all.
Like it's I can see why most people would avoid the true potential of what yoga has to offer. Because, dude, man, you're going within yourself and basically pointing like all your crap, all the nonsense, all the narcissism. You're observing your own narcissism.
Yeah.
And that's not fun, man. That's not like, it's not meat, dude. You gotta really,
with a true yoga practice where you have to, you go through these postures that don't just expose physically, but, mentally and emotionally what you're going through. Like, I mean, just for a very gross example, back bends that reopen your chest and everything. If you're depressed, your chest is pretty concave and you have a rounded posture. We've seen people that have, they've cried in class and everything because everything's getting like opened up again and they're able to express themselves. So you're kind of forced in a true yoga practice to really sit with yourself and see like what's actually happening. You're not deluded by your own thoughts.
Totally. So someone has a traumatic experience and they bury it within themselves, and that information from that life experience stores as tension. And then once that tension is released, in this context, you're talking about yoga, the release comes up. And dude, that person now has to face that pain. The only way to let go of that trauma, because it's actually over. I mean, it's the past. I mean, that experience is over, but the past lingers in the present through the neurology, stored as tension. But when it comes up, that pain has to be faced. And that's when you see people release and you see the emotions release and they cry and, and they once they get through it, they're different.
Sure. Yeah. Like,
they're not who they once were because they're not living from that story anymore.
Sure. Yeah. Like, in the Ashtanga primary series, Paschimottanasana is an intense stretch from the west. Pashi means west. So people are coming from the past, going into the future, and oftentimes when people start forward folding, their chest is very rounded and everything, and you see that they're depressed by the past. So they have a rounded back, rounded structure. But as you show them how to fold and reopen the chest and everything, they're like, oh wow, they can go into the future deeper into the posture with open eyes and a wide chest and a better disposition.
That's deep.
Yeah, I mean, if your past colors your present, what do you think your future is going to be like? I mean, how can you really live to your fullest potential? How could you even live in present time when you're being weighed down by all this, by the past? Because what happens is that the past, it literally gets locked into our neurology. Everything you see, how you see yourself and how you see your world, you see through the eyes of your nervous system. So if your nervous system is weighed down by all this tension, you're going to perceive life ultimately through all this tension. And that comes in the form of negativity, beliefs, opinions. That's ultimately. So, the technology of yoga, and man, I don't want to go down too deep down the rabbit hole for chiropractic, but the truth of the matter is I've been practicing almost 20 years. And the biggest thing I see, what happens to people under chiropractic care, is that they change as human beings. They become lighter, they become healthier, they become more positive, and they're willing to go after or put themselves more on the line for what's in their heart. Like that person that always wanted to train jiu-jitsu is now willing to do it. That person who wants to have their own business is now willing to leave their job and start their own business. That person that doesn't want to live in this one place is now willing to move to another place and just, put it on the line, man. And face all that fear and live more from a place of courage rather than living from past trauma.
Yeah. And that's going to affect everyone around them too.
Exactly.
What brought you to Boulder? Why'd you leave New York? You were training the stars. You were training the legend Marcelo Garcia, among others, I'm sure.
Man, being the chiropractor for Marcelo Garcia Academy and watching a lot of those guys grow up and training under Marcelo and becoming his friend has been that's been one of the greatest honors in my life. The reason why I was in New York is because I was taking care of a relative, my aunt, who had adopted me as a kid. She had dementia, And I chose to stay in the area until she passed away. When she did pass away, that's when I closed my practice and decided to move. I always felt the opportunity for me in chiropractic and jiu-jitsu was in the city. And fortunately, I was right about that.
Yeah.
But, I got to train with Marcelo and be his chiropractor. I got to train and be the chiropractor for Lucas Lepri, for Bernardo Feria, for Enrique Hizende, for Paul Schreiner, for some of the guys
Marcos Duarte.
that are turning into some of the black belts in the world, like Mansour Kara, Jonathan Satava, Mateos Deniz, Dylan Dennis,
Marcos
Silva,
Marcos Duarte.
Marcos Duarte,
Yeah, thank you. Best for last.
I got to be, the chiropractor and teammate and student of all these people.
Yeah.
And, my way of giving back to them was through chiropractic.
What was the biggest thing you learned from someone like Marcelo? Not necessarily jiu-jitsu wise. Like, what kind of inspiration I'm sure did he bring to you? And what was the biggest thing you learned? Maybe a life lesson of some sorts that you can bring to us.
Maybe a single leg X-guard technique, whatever.
No, non-jiu-jitsu, man.
Oh, man.
What I learned from Marcelo was to keep moving forward no matter what. Keep moving forward in life no matter what. I learned from Marcelo to keep going, to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep putting myself on the line, to keep allowing myself to be vulnerable. Marcelo, I learned what respect is. Marcelo treats everyone the same, whether they're some out of shape person that is a white belt and just joined the academy to one of the many time world champions that come to train there. It's all the same. He treats everyone with the equal amount of respect. Man, honestly, he's a really amazing human being, man. And the guy has definitely his fair share of life. And I have a tremendous amount of love and respect from Marcelo, not only to be his student, but to be his chiropractor, and more than anything, to be his friend.
Wow, that's deep, man.
That's lovely. What are some post-training things that we can do to help optimize recovery after a hard training session?
Yoga.
Besides yoga.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this to be clear. It's the most important, I feel, after doing this for almost 20 years, is to find a chiropractor that practices on a level of excellence.
Okay.
Outside of that, you have to immerse yourself in the education of how living systems work, understanding what structure and the relationship between structure and function, and also what nutrition your body thrives on. So right after training, what is your body craving to help restore, replenish, and recuperate from the damage you did during training?
Yeah.
It's basics. Your body wants water, it wants electrolyte, it wants sugar, and it wants fat, and it wants protein. That's what it wants. And so if you can put these things into your body within the 15 minutes after you train, right after you train, you put these things in your body, you'll see tremendous tissue recovery. But it can't be any type of sugar. You can't eat white refined sugar and expect your body to thrive on that.
It can't be a donut. It's got to be
raw organic honey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or sugar.
It can't be any type of protein. It's got to be a very assimilable type of protein. So what's the most assimilable type of protein that we know of? Well, it's albumin. It's egg whites.
Yeah.
And what type of fat does your body thrive on? Well, that would be the omegas, the EPA and the DHA from fish oils. And man, This is a really long conversation. Also, water and electrolytes. It can't be synthetic stuff. It has to be natural stuff that your body is going to assimilate.
Yeah.
Boom.
Mattie, Dr. Mattie, sorry. Thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you having on, man. Dropped a lot of knowledge.
Man, I'll be honest, Marcos, through the years, I've learned just as much from you as you've learned from me.
Oh, why, thank you, sir.
And that's the truth. So, hey, listen, I hope you guys come out to visit. I found an amazing jiu-jitsu community out here. Amal Easton.
Yeah.
Has been, like, incredible to me. Shay Smith, Mike Tuzignot, James Smith, and man, like a very good friend of mine who is one of the best American black belts I've ever been on the mat with is Matt Jubera, who is a Salo and Jean Ribeiro black belt. And man, this guy's incredible. So if you guys come out to visit me, man, I'll bring you around to meet these people. They're wonderful people. They, man, when I came here, they welcomed me with open arms and made me feel super comfortable. And, if I've forgot anybody in the Colorado Jiu-Jitsu scene, my apologies. I just want to thank all you guys for being so awesome to me when I first moved out here. And they just like opened their hearts and homes to me, like right from the get-go.
Wow. Thanks a lot. And we hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Let's keep in touch, yeah?
Definitely, brother.
All right, awesome.
Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Peace
Talk
out.
to you soon.